Why angels? Some people like my angel drawings and some people hate them. I'm not surprised by this response. In fact, it's generally the response to most of my artwork. I'll share it on social media and the numbers show that the great majority just look without commenting. A smaller number will hit the like or share button and a smaller number again will express a written opinion. It's interesting though that a few people seem to get so piqued on the subject matter of angels. The main objection seems to revolve around the idea that a serious artist wouldn't choose angels as a subject matter, that it's just a bit too kitsch, perhaps even as a visual metaphor. Well, anybody that really knows me and my work will also know that being told not to make a specific subject matter or aesthetic choice is probably going to be problematic in realising the chance of me actually stopping doing it. One interesting and positive comment I recently received after posting a new angel drawing was that it made someone remember the short story A Very Old Man with Enormous Wings by Gabriel García Márquez, which I thought was a fine compliment. I also like the association, that I naturally made, of some of my work, the Minotaur women and angels in particular, with the literary notion of magical realism, that idea of using a kind of hyperfiction to bring a focus onto an element of contemporary reality. It's been a common thread through a lot of my work. Anyway, back to the angels. I won't apologise for them, and I'm not likely to stop using them. Angels are an interesting cultural device. Our European use of the word angel comes from the late Latin angelus, literally messenger. But the angelic origin goes back much further in ancient religions than the Abrahamic texts. They have performed all manner of functions, from a witness to a messenger to a divine soldier, but they all seem to wield a power beyond human capabilities and have connections to assorted deities. They have been, I suppose, for those that consider them a reality, a kind of manifestation of righteous power that would improve the spiritual or actual outlook of those that believe in them. It's like they're a metaphor for the power that people wished they actually could exercise in their earthbound lives. So, the angel seems an appropriate metaphor for an artist whose work is considered by some to be political. Anyway, on to the current band of angels I'm drawing. In 1967, the American writer Richard Brautigan wrote the poem All Watched Over by Machines of Loving Grace. The title itself, for me, is perfect in both its capacity of specificity and ambiguity. Like as an artist, I wish I could make the drawing or painting equivalent of that line of text. It's one of those lines I imagine any writer would wish they'd conceived of and put down for themselves. At heart, this was a poem that suggested a desire for a combined technological and ecological utopia where all humanity exists harmoniously within the boundaries of an idealised nature and overseen by beneficent and human-conceived technological guardians. Was it a heartfelt desire? Some modern critics suggest that it was more cynical and satirical in its intention, but I think that's probably informed by a contemporary awareness of the reality of humanity's impact on the planet now. Taking into consideration his lifestyle and the other creative people he mixed with and the counter-cultural circles he ran in, I prefer to be more optimistic of his intentions. And, despite his lifelong mental health struggles and eventual suicide, I even think Brautigan was an optimist too, particularly with regards to humanity's inevitable recognition of having to cede to the natural authority of our ecosphere. In an interview in 1983, he expressed his love of the growing availability of information or knowledge. Maybe he was suggesting that modern industrialised humanity was, at long last, on the cusp of being able to understand its natural place in a natural world. He was optimistic that the proliferation of this information in the early 1980s would give us all the necessary tools to effect the social and cultural changes needed. And, coincidentally, like Gabriel García Márquez, in Brautigan's writing there is also that blending of reality and fantasy. Brautigan said himself of reality and fantasy that one is the mirror and the other is the reflection, but that they are also interchangeable. And that is what my angels are for me, I think. It's always subject to change, of course. They are the aspiration and the action. They are the watchers, the messengers, but the fighters and saviours too. They are what we want to help us make change, and what we want to be in making the change for ourselves. And they have the authority of ancestors. They are, of a time and world far older and wiser than us. Well, the world we know and that our parents and their parents knew is disappearing. Its waters recidifying, its ice disappearing, its seas rising. Forests burn and tundras melt, and temperatures are now rising sufficiently to make vast areas of the planet soon uninhabitable by mammalian life. Cereal crop production, one of the primary drivers of early human civilization, is already being affected by repeated reduced yields. Species are being made extinct at a rate greater than over the last 10 million years. We need help, but realistically, the only help that can make the changes needed is going to have to come from ourselves and working together. Our angels can be the messenger of action, or it can be the action itself, the mirror or the reflection. We all create our own personal guardian angels, be it science, religion, political or direct actions. Alternatively, and sadly, but equally attractive to many, fatalism, denialism and defeatism. They're all varieties on a theme of personal survival strategies. But our long-term survival can only be achieved at the expense of the individual. We need to come together and prioritise our common humanity. We have to reject the flawed and arrogant directions that have driven our economic ideologies of chasing a progress judged by material measure at the expense of other, more human, cultural and social metrics. So, with this work, I'm just calling out to our metaphorical angels, be they priests or physicists, economists or ecologists, bankers or bakers, they're all just you and I. Help us bring the changes humanity needs to negotiate the potentially apocalyptic future we face, because, like it or not, we face it together, despite our worst selfish natures.